I don't know about you, but something doesn't add up with what happened to Hurricane Helene. The damages is devastating. I'm going to give you some of the numbers here. And imagine if you apply, you're like, hey, we lost our house. We have no electricity. We have no water. Can you send us some assistance? No problem. Here's $750 per household. Yeah, we live 6 people live in a house together. Is it $750 per? No, per household. That's it. What do you want me to do with $750? Meanwhile, this is what's going on. 2 million people lost power across 2 states. 250,000 are still within power even a week after the storm. The size of the hurricane is 400 miles. That is similar to Katrina. A total of 215 deaths. This is across 10 states. 150,000 people registered to FEMA to get assistance. Phone lines are down. You can't get a hold of your family. Only 2% of people living in Georgia and North Carolina have flood insurance. And meanwhile, only $750 per household. That's all you have to help out Americans that are going through it right now. We're going to talk about all this mess today. If you value out of this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Look, I got a bunch of questions I want to ask, and the question is very simple. How do you judge and measure the effectiveness of a government agency, especially the fact that you and I are funding this agency? Now, the person that's running it is a guy named Mayorkas. Department of Homeland Security, under Department of Homeland Security, one of the agencies is FEMA. He was interviewed 3 months ago, and here's what he said, whether they're ready or not for something like this.
FEMA is tremendously prepared. This is what we do. This is what they do. And the key here, Rebecca, is also to make sure that the communities who are potentially impacted are prepared as well. And it's not just hurricanes and wildfires, also extreme heat, which certainly some parts of the United States are already experiencing.
The reason why a lot of people on Twitter are reacting to this is because he said that 3 months ago. This isn't 10 years ago. Not 2 years ago, it's 3 months ago. And here's what he says now when asked how much money FEMA has to help families out just a few days ago.
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season. Did you not know that 3 months ago? By the way, you're the guy that runs it. You have a $100 billion budget, DHS. FEMA last year was $29 billion. This year it's $20 billion. You keep an $8 billion for previous disasters. It's so embarrassing right now for FEMA that on their website, if you go on FEMA, their website right now, you know what they say? They're addressing all the rumors about the fact that they give money to other people. But let me just read it to you. It's their reports. It's the words they use. This is from them. They're trying to recover from what they're spending their money on. Their own words. They give grants, this program called the SSP. It's called FEMA's Shelter and Services Program. Gives grants to local governments and nonprofits to take care of undocumented immigrants. Congress boosted the budget from $360 million in 2023 to $650 million in 2024. That's almost $1 billion. By the way, their words, let me read it to you. The program's 2023 annual report says it provided shelter, such as hotel, motel services, food, transportation, including plane tickets of up to $700 a person. For who? Undocumented immigrants. Oh, but not Americans living in Carolina and Georgia that happen to be part of 2 states, battleground states. These are important states and counties. You're not in a hurry to want to help these guys out. Listen, you're creating people to ask some questions. You're sitting there saying, what are you doing with all this stuff? Now, let's go and find out what you're doing with the funds, right? When I go through this spreadsheet on their website to see where the money's being spent, they tell you 2023, they were given $29 billion. But if you go on this thing here and you see what the money's being spent for, the grant, State Homeland Security, Urban Area Security Initiative, Public Transportation Security, you go through all this stuff. And then on the bottom, there comes a part that says Disaster Relief Fund, $19.74 billion. I'm curious, where did that money go to? That's what I care about. Can you unpack that $19.7 billion? You claim you have 20,000 people that are working for you with FEMA. So we're just sitting here, a bunch of amateurs. We don't do this for a living. We're just regular Americans who love America, are concerned with what's going on with these families. One of our ladies sitting right here, her mother is in the area. She does not have phone service right now. No electricity, no power. Brothers bring in water to flush the toilet. She's sitting right here and telling me the story. Kelly, people know people that are going through this stuff right now, so it prompted questions for us on how to measure these agencies. We wrote 10 things down. How would you measure and judge the effectiveness of a government agency with the taxpayer money that you and I are given? Number one, this is what we came up with. Response time. How quickly would you judge on how FEMA is responding? Number two, allocation of funds. Where is this $19.7 billion? Where are you spending it? We just want to know. Where's it going, right? Number three, transparency. How transparent is FEMA being with you and I? We're the investors. We gave them money. Like if you own a mutual fund, you get a prospectus. You own shares, you get an update, shareholders update. Hey, here's what's going on with the company. I get to find out what's going on. What is the level of transparency and accountability right now? If I go on your website, let me read this report to you. An August report from the Department of Homeland Security's Office of Inspector Generals noted that in 2022, FEMA estimated that 847 disaster declarations with approximately, you ready, $73 billion in unliquidated funds remain open. What do you mean unliquidated funds? Where is this money? Where is this $73 billion? Again, we'll put the link below. Go investigate a little bit more for yourself. We want transparency, right? Number four, proactiveness. How quickly did you move? Mayorkas said, we've known about this coming for a week. His words, he said this, you've known about it for a week. Can you imagine if a crisis, a hurricane is coming, you've known about it for a week? How proactive have you been? Can we judge you, FEMA, on how proactive you've been? Number five, preparedness. Number six, training. How trained are your personnel? There's a video of a Glenn Beck walking around going to the facility, and FEMA's like, yeah, go log on to, he said, how do you log on? People don't have internet. Well, I don't know. Can you ask my manager? Well, I don't know. What are you guys doing here for? How many FEMA trucks are there? How prepared and how trained are your personnel? Let's go to the next one. Number seven, supply drop. Back in the days, if we go to, we're going to go help out humanitarian. We're going to go drop food off to other people. Is that happening in Carolina? Now, let's go to eight. Eight, maybe, guys, you're being a little bit too hard on FEMA because the last 8 crises, they crushed it. They did such a great job. You're picking on FEMA, leave them alone. Maybe FEMA did a great job with Andrew in 92. Maybe FEMA did a great job with Katrina in 05. Maybe FEMA did a great job with Puerto Rico with Maria in 2017. Maybe FEMA did a great job with the California wildfires in 2018. Maybe FEMA did a great job with pandemic. I don't know. If they did a great job, let's stop bothering FEMA. Let's give them a break, right? Oh, every once in a while you're not going to get it right. Number 9, customer service. How easy are they to get a hold of? What is the level of communication with the people that are getting this incredibly large amount of $750? How is the customer service? You're the taxpayer, you're giving money to them, right? And last but not least, if it ain't working, is it time to allow a private organization to get this $20-30 billion that public transparency is told to us on what's happening? And maybe they will do a better job responding to crises like this than FEMA. What do you think? Do you think it's better we take that budget from there and put it elsewhere? Because where are you going to go write negative reviews about FEMA? And who gives a shit if you do? You think they're going to get back to you? Oh, we are doing our best. We're so sorry. Like a restaurant. They don't care. Go post a negative review. They will never read it. No one will pay attention to it. If you're still watching and this video has motivated you to go to FEMA and post a positive review on their Yelp account or Google to help them with their reviews, I'm really going to go a little bit deeper with you here. So let me tell you, we're sitting at Harvard at this program called OPM. It's 144 entrepreneurs from 64 plus countries. One of the guys is from Lagos. He gets up there and says, for $100 million to build this plant, I will be able to produce some 3 billion gallons of water from thin air, from nothing. And we're like, what? He says, yes, here's what it uses. He shows the video. Harvard professors are there saying, this makes sense, $100 million. So guess what? The concept of water, a lot of people are not afraid because they're learning how to make water out of nothing. So back in 1976, a little weird. Think about this thing here. You ever heard about the Weather Modification Act of 1976. What? This is the government. This is not us doing it. The government comes out with this. Companies that intend to engage in weather modification activities within the United States are required by the Weather Modification Act of 1976, 15 Code of Federal Regulations 908, to provide a report to the administrator of NOAA at least 10 days prior to undertaking the activity. What are you talking about? Companies participating in weather modification? Well, I mean, would you say the former director of CIA has a lot of credibility? A man named John Brennan, who was a former director of CIA, said the following. He said, we now have the technology that has the potential to alter weather patterns.
The technology's potential to alter weather patterns.
Director of CIA John Brennan. Not me telling you this. This is the director of CIA. Then a man named Michio Kaku. I had him on the podcast. We speak. We have a great conversation together with. You know what he says when he's being interviewed by CBS? The CBS lady, you know who she is.
And now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose.
She was just hosting one of the debates with CBS. She says, I remember back in the days, China used the same technology, the laser, to alter weather, to create it to rain during the Olympics. And he says, yes. I mean, the CIA used it in the 60s during the Vietnam War. She says, allegedly. She said, well, listen, Bill Gates and Al Gore have been working with this thing and they're aware of what's going on. This is one way for us to geoengineer and alter what's going to happen with the weather. If we have access to that technology, if you did and you knew about it and we've been using it for 60 years, why don't you use it to alter this to get rid of it? If we're going to go there, we're going to go there. You ready for this? By the way, just brace for impact because you're going to say there's no way this is true. Remember how earlier I talked to you about the NOAA, the Weather Modification Act of 1976, that if you're going to modify the weather in any way, you have to kind of tell the government about it, this institution, the organization called NOAA. If you go on their website, the government website, NOAA.gov, they're celebrating the 70th anniversary of the first hurricane seeding experiment. Let me read this to you and brace for impact because it's a little bit crazy. It's called Operation, I believe, Cyrus, or something like that. On the afternoon of October 13, 1947, an Air Force B-17 aircraft penetrated a hurricane 415 miles away east of Jacksonville and dumped several pounds of crushed dry ice into the storm just to see what would happen. This was the first attempt to modify a tropical cyclone by seeding it with freezing nuclei. It was almost the last. The scientists were eager to examine the storm the following day. However, when they flew to the predicted storm location, they had trouble locating the eye. Why is that? After some hunting around, they found the hurricane center nearly 100 miles west of where they expected it to be. To their astonishment, the hurricane had made a 135-degree left turn and was now moving due west. On top of that, it was strengthening. By the afternoon of the 15th, Hurricane King struck Savannah, Georgia. One person died in the storm surge. $2 million in damages was done in Georgia and South Carolina. The public was outraged that the scientists had caused the storm to swerve into Georgia, and threats of lawsuits were thrown around. GE's case was not helped when the head of its laboratories, Dr. Irving Langmuir, issued a statement that he was 99% sure the storm had changed course due to what? Seeding. Chief of the Weather Bureau, Dr. Francis Reichledorfer, thought differently and appointed 3 of the weathermen to find a case where a hurricane had followed a similar track but had not been seeded. The case was published, demonstrating that hurricanes could swerve like this without the seed of dry ice, and the threats of lawsuits eventually evaporated. So now you may be watching and saying, well, see, they validated it. Happens all the time, Pat. Fine. Maybe you take it that way. But maybe you have to look at it in a different way. One of them works for GE, free market. The other one works for government. Which of the two you think is more concerned from making sure this is not public to protect it from getting to you? The GE employee, the head of laboratories of GE, or the guy working from the government saying, hey man, guys, listen, you better go make sure take care of that guy's credibility because the people cannot trust that this was because of us. Cut them off right off the bat. All right, I got you, whoever it is above them. No. This happens all the time. And you know what the American people said? Okay, we trust the government. Government will never lie to us. Let's move with it. Not saying the guy was lying. I'm just saying maybe back then we didn't speculate that much. This is 70 years ago. Back then, maybe we trusted him because there was no social media and people could get away with reporting anything. This is what's causing some people to say, why is this happening 3 weeks before the election in the 2 battleground states? And why is it back to back? And why did you know there's going to be more than one hurricane coming and it's going in the same exact vicinity? I don't know. It's almost as if you want certain counties that are more Republican, 26 out of 28 or whatever the number was, that you don't want them to show up because that could flip a state. Maybe. Again, pure speculation. That's what a lot of people are saying on Twitter. And by the way, we are living in America that people can ask questions like that because of CBS, that allegedly is a reputable, news station, a mainstream media. You know CBS, I know CBS. They're saying China used this in the past, and they thought it was so credible to put Michio Kaku that this is actually happening. And the director of CIA, this doesn't get higher than that, John Brennan, to say Technology's potential to alter weather. You cannot alter this one, and you don't want to do that to prevent 2 million people that are affected by it and save that $750. Yeah, you make a lot of average Americans who are just trying to get by and take care of their husband, wife, and their kids to question motives. That's what's causing this. When you say this, and then when it happens that you do this, and Mallorca says, we've known about a week, and you don't do nothing about it, if you have the technology, you could have saved those 215 people's lives. These are someone's daughter, son, child, mother, father, grandmother. They could have still been here. We could have done something about it. If I'm using CBS, because CBS, if CBS wants to spit out some conspiracy theories, I'm not with it. But CBS wants to do it, fine, because you're a very known organization. You guys want to take that risk, go ahead. Me, I just want to go do some research and find out for myself. I can't believe CBS went there, but you chose to go there. That's on you to take the risk. But there's a reason why people are pissed right now. And they're asking the question and the level of credibility of FEMA, DHS, and the way we respond to crisis that happens in America, not in the Middle East or Ukraine. Shouldn't that be our number one priority of people to take care of? What do you think? If you got value out of this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with other people. Debate, watch it and debate. Put the comment below. I want to hear from you. I want to read the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, there's another video to watch. I live in Florida now, and insurance companies are being hit very, very hard in Florida for specifically weather reasons. If you've not seen the video we did about Florida insurance companies, click here to watch it. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.